The first time she died, Calista Vorne didn't bother to grieve. Eidolon Corp's skin machine peeled her corpse from the blood-slick alley, her consciousness already slithering into a fresh clone vat. She awoke gasping, her new lungs raw, her skin still glazed with amniotic gel. The lab's sterile lights carved shadows into the faces of the technicians, their whispers sharp as scalpels, neural sync at 98%, vitals stable, as if she were a product rolling off an assembly line. She supposed she was. They let her keep the memories, the gunshot, the cold, the way her killer's breath hitched when he realized she wasn't human. Good. Silas Marr had purred, reviewing the footage. Fear sells. But Calista kept the other memories too. The ghost flicker of deja vu in every cloned nerve. The way her reflection sometimes lingered in mirrors a half-second too long. Glitches, Eidolon called them. By the seventh death, the glitches grew teeth. Her clones began appearing in peripheral feeds, blurred figures with her face, trailing her missions like smoke. Lab reports dismissed them as hallucinations, side effects of neural overclocking. But Calista knew better. She'd find strands of her own hair in safe houses she'd never visited, fingerprints on weapons she hadn't fired. Once a clone left a gift, a bullet casing from Jakarta, the site of her first kill. Inside, a note scrawled in her handwriting. "You don't own us." Eidolon erased the evidence, adjusted the code, told her to focus. But corpses don't stay buried when they're still breathing, and mirrors don't lie when they start talking back. Chapter 1. Rain fell in silver needles, stinging the back of Calista Vorne's neck as she crouched on the rooftop. The city sprawled beneath her like a circuit board, its glass towers glowing with bioluminescent neon, violet, acid green, the arterial red of emergency sirens. She hated nights like this. The rain made everything slippery, unpredictable. But predictability was a luxury she'd traded years ago, back when she signed her DNA over to Eidolon Corp. Immortality has its price, she thought, flexing her gloved hand. The synthetic skin shimmered faintly under the streetlights, a dead giveaway to anyone who knew what to look for. Not that it mattered. By dawn, this body might be another corpse in the gutter, and a fresh clone would wake up in Eidolon's vats, none the wiser. Her target's penthouse loomed across the chasm of the street, its windows frosted with privacy filters, easy enough to bypass. Calista adjusted the grapple on her wrist, the mechanism clicking like a beetle's mandible. She preferred old tech, reliable. Unlike the clones Eidolon bred, flawed, twitchy things, their minds fraying at the edges. Tools, she reminded herself, disposable. The grapple's cable hissed through the rain, anchoring into the penthouse's balcony. She swung across the void, the wind biting through her coat, and landed soundlessly. Inside, the air reeked of antiseptic and bergamot. A man's voice drifted from the next room, nasal, anxious. Senator Reiner, another corrupt politician on Eidolon's payroll, another loose end to sever. She palmed a monofilament blade, its edge humming faintly. The first kill was always the messiest. After that, the bodies blurred. But the senator wasn't alone. Calista froze mid-step. A shadow flickered in her periphery, a figure in the floor-to-ceiling mirror, its reflection out of sync with her movements. She turned, blade raised, but the room was empty. Her own face stared back from the glass, sharp cheekbones, eyes like smoke quartz, a scar bisecting her brow. The same face she'd seen in 100 clone vats. Get a grip, Vorne. She slid into the hallway. The senator stood at a liquor cabinet, pouring himself a trembling drink. His reflection warped in the curved glass of the decanters. "You shouldn't have talked to the press," Calista said, stepping into the light. Reiner dropped the bottle. Amber liquid pooled at his feet. Please, I didn't tell them anything." The monofilament blade kissed his throat. "You breathed. That was enough." A wet chuckle echoed behind her. Calista spun. Another mirror, another reflection, but this one moved independently. A woman with her face, her build, her blade, except her skin was waxen, dripping, as if the bones beneath were melting. The clone's eyes were shattered mirrors. "Hello, original," it rasped. Calista lunged, but the clone dissolved into the glass, reappearing in a mirrored panel across the room. Reiner screamed as the clone's blade erupted from his chest, blood blooming across his shirt like a chrysanthemum. "Ambush," She vaulted backward as the room erupted in shards. Clones poured from every reflective surface, a dozen iterations of herself, each more grotesque than the last. One had fingers fused into scalpel-like talons, another's jaw unhinged, revealing rows of needle teeth. They moved in a liquid swarm, their movements synchronized. Her movements, Eidolon's failsafe. Callista's blade flashed, severing a clone's arm. Blackish fluid spattered her face, not blood, coolant, hydraulic fluid. The clone didn't stagger. It grinned, the wound sealing itself in a ripple of gelatinous flesh. Regeneration tech. Her regeneration tech. She designed this nightmare. A taloned clone slashed her shoulder. Pain seared, white hot, but she channeled it into a kick, shattering a mirror. The clones hissed, recoiling. Light. They were avoiding the broken glass. She smashed another panel, carving a path to the balcony. Rain stung her wounds as she grappled to the next tower. The clones followed, their bodies flowing over the glass like mercury. She needed higher ground, a skylight, a server farm, anything with non-reflective surfaces. Her boot slipped. A clone seized her ankle, yanking her downward. Callista slammed into a window, the impact spider webbing the glass. Her reflection fractured into 100 screaming faces. No, not like this. A gunshot rang out. The clone's head vaporized. Callista scrambled onto a ledge, clutching her bleeding shoulder. A figure stood on the adjacent rooftop, backlit by neon. A man in a trench coat, his face obscured. He fired again, the bullet shearing through clones with uncanny precision. Move, he barked. She leapt, her grapple hooking a vent. The man covered her retreat, his movements eerily familiar, efficient, ruthless, her style. They crashed into a derelict arcade, its hologame cabinets flickering with static. Callista backed against a wall, blade raised. Who the hell are you? The man lowered his pistol. Her own face stared back, older, wearier, with a scar mirroring hers. But his eyes, green not brown. A defect. Aang 7, he said. But you can call me Cyrus. Clone. She lunged. He disarmed her in 3 moves, pinning her wrist to the wall. I'm not here to kill you, he said. I'm here to recruit you. She spat blood. Eidolon send you to clean up their mess. Eidolon's the mess, and you're the blueprint. His grip tightened. How many bodies have you burned for them, Calista? How many clones have you murdered? They're not people, they're copies. And what are you? He released her, stepping back. Just another copy who doesn't know she's obsolete. The arcade's lights buzzed. Rain dripped through the ceiling, pooling around their boots. Callista's shoulder throbbed, the regeneration tech knitting her flesh with a prickling itch. She'd seen clones malfunction before, develop empathy, fear, delusions of identity. But this one, why help me? She said. Cyrus smiled, bitter. Because I'm the part of you that still cares. The safe house was a gutted server tower, its walls papered with old Neuralink schematics. Calista slumped on a rusted cot, peeling off her bloodied gloves. Cyrus paced, his coat shedding rain onto the concrete. Silas Marr's been selling your DNA to warlords, he said. Every clone, every skin machine, they're all you. Fractured, angry. Eidolon's making bank on your trauma. She scoffed. And you're the noble exception. I'm the glitch. He tossed her a medkit. The piece of you that remembers the scientist who leaked Eidolon's data. The one you killed in Jakarta. The name hit like a bullet. Ling Nguyen. The woman's face flooded back, wide-eyed, defiant, begging for her life as Calista drowned her in a hotel bathtub. She'd told herself it was a mercy. The core would have done worse. You're a hallucination, she muttered. A neural hack. Cyrus knelt, his green eyes piercing. Check your memories, the gaps, the dreams she had. Nights spent jolting awake, phantom water filling her lungs. A face in the mirror that wasn't hers. Help me burn Eidolon, he said, and you'll never have to kill another ghost. They returned to the glass district at dawn. The clones were waiting. Calista fought alongside Cyrus, their movements syncing like twin engines. He anticipated her strikes, covered her blind spots, his presence an itch in her neural link. Familiar, terrifying. When Ike's 3 cornered them in a hall of mirrors, a clone with her face split into a jagged scream. Cyrus shoved Calista aside, taking the full force of its blade. His blood splashed the glass, black and iridescent. Go, he growled. She didn't. She severed Ix-3's spine, then hauled Cyrus into an elevator. His wound pulsed, regeneration tech, struggling to mend cloned flesh. Why? He coughed. She pressed a hand to his chest, feeling the uneven stutter of his heart. Her heart. Because you're the only part of this that makes sense. The elevator ascended. Somewhere above, Eidolon's lab waited. And deep in the code, a virus stirred. Chapter 2. The safe house hummed with the low arrhythmic pulse of failing machinery. Calista pressed a palm to the server tower's wall, feeling the vibration seep into her bones like a second heartbeat. Cyrus leaned over a cracked terminal, its holographic display casting his face in jagged blue fragments. He looked older in this light, the scar across his brow, a pale river cutting through the topography of her own features. Her features. The dissonance still clawed at her, watching him move, think, breathe as if he'd carved his existence out of her shadow. Eidolon's lab is under the river, he said, not turning. Sewer access, less patrols. She flexed her regenerated hand, the skin still tight and waxy. You expect me to crawl through filth. I expect you to survive. His voice was flat, but she caught the edge beneath it, the same blade she'd honed in herself. They left at twilight, the sky bruising purple over the glass district. Cyrus led her through alleys choked with neon runoff, the air thick with the greasy scent of synthetic fry oil and decay. Calista memorized every turn, every rusted ladder bolted to the crumbling brick. Survival was a map etched in contingencies, and she refused to let him become one. The sewer entrance yawned beneath a corroded grate, its ladder descending into blackness. Cyrus went first, boots splashing into unseen water. Calista followed, the rungs biting into her palms. The darkness swallowed them whole. Her ocular implants flickered on, painting the tunnel in grainy infrared. The walls glistened with biofilms, pulsating faintly as if breathing. Cyrus moved ahead, a specter in the green-tinted gloom. She focused on his silhouette, the rhythm of his steps, too familiar, too precise. A clone's gait, a ghost's. How many of us are down here? The question slithered unbidden. She crushed it. Clones were echoes, tools, but the deeper they crept, the heavier the air grew, until even her implants strained to parse the shadows. A sound, not water, whimpering. Cyrus froze, hand raised. Calista edged past him, blade drawn. The tunnel widened into a cavern, its ceiling strung with dripping roots of ancient plumbing. And there, curled in a nest of refuse, was a child. No, not a child. A clone. Small, malformed, its limbs stunted and fused at the joints. One eye was hers, smoked quartz, sharp. The other was a milky orb, swimming with neural static. It clutched a moth-eaten plush toy, its remaining fingers digging into the fabric. Ix-12, Cyrus whispered. A prototype. They dumped it when the cognition graphs failed. The clone stared at them. When it spoke, its voice was a broken synth. Original. Callista's blade trembled. She'd terminated defective clones before. Quick, clean. But this thing, this child, wasn't attacking. It was pleading. Don't. Cyrus gripped her wrist. It's not a threat. It's not anything. She wrenched free. Just code with a face. The clone crawled toward her, dragging its twisted legs. Hurts. Fix it. She recoiled. The word fix echoed, sharp as a bone saw. Lin Win had said it too, in Jakarta. You can't fix what you've become. Cyrus knelt, his coat pooling in the muck. We can't help you, he said softly, but we'll stop the hurt. I promise. The clone tilted its head, then reached into its chest. Ribs cracked wetly as it withdrew a data chip, slick with biogel. For original. Calista stared at the offering. The chip pulsed faintly, Eidolon's insignia glinting in the rot. A trap? A trick? But the clone's face. She took the chip. The clone smiled, its good eye closing. Then it dissolved. Not death deletion. Its body frayed into pixels, the plush toy dropping into the sludge. Callista's fist closed around the chip, its edges biting her palm. They're networked, Cyrus said. Eidolon can remote wipe them. She wiped the biogel on her thigh. Efficient. You're shaking. Adrenaline. He didn't press. They moved on. The lab's entrance was a seamless steel door, its surface scarred with acid burns. Cyrus bypassed the lock with a neural spike, his fingers dancing over the keypad. Calista watched, grudgingly impressed. His coating mirrored hers, a reflection warped by time and trauma. Inside, the air stank of formaldehyde and burnt ozone. Rows of skin machines lined the chamber, their glass vats glowing like diseased eggs. Clones floated inside, bodies half-formed, torsos without limbs, faces without eyes. Calista approached one, her breath fogging the glass. The clone's eyelids fluttered, dreaming. Do I dream? She'd never questioned it. Dreams were for people with pasts, and hers was a black hole, swallowing every light. Cyrus stood beside her, his reflection layered over the clone. They're all you, every fear, every regret. Eidolon splits them apart, sells the pieces. She touched the vat. Why keep them alive? To study the fractures, see what sticks. His hand brushed hers, a phantom contact. You really don't remember, do you? The first time you died. A flash, cold metal, a scalpel's kiss, Silas Marr's voice, a perfect copy. She stepped back. I remember enough. The data chip seared in her pocket. She slotted it into a terminal. Files exploded across the screens. DNA matrices, neural maps, a ledger of buyers, warlords, politicians, a child emperor, all hungry for immortality, all hungry for her. Cyrus leaned in, his shoulder against hers. There's more. Look, security footage, a lab deeper underground, a vault lined with vats, each holding a clone hooked to a tangle of wires, feeding data to a central core. To him, Silas Marr, Callista's fingers dug into the terminal. He's harvesting them, using their memories to perfect the tech. Using your memories. Cyrus's voice frayed. Every time you die, Eidolon learns, adapts. You're just another experiment. The terminal sparked. She yanked the chip free. Then let's end it. They descended. The lower labs were colder, the walls veined with bioluminescent fungus. Cyrus took point, his pistol a steady extension of his arm. Calista counted steps, exits, threats. But the deeper they went, the louder the silence grew. The vault door loomed, etched with Eidolon's serpent emblem. Cyrus input the code from the chip. Hydraulics hissed. Inside, the clones hung like marionettes. Wires pierced their skulls, spines, hearts, feeding into a central node where Silas Marr's face flickered on 1,000 screens. Welcome home, Calista. The voice boomed from everywhere. Cyrus fired at a screen. Glass shattered. You've met my children, I see. Such fascinating iterations, especially IX-7. A hologram of Silas materialized, crisp and grinning. Did he tell you how often he begs for death? How he claws at his own code? Cyrus's jaw tightened. Don't. Oh, but she deserves to know. You're her conscience, Cyrus. Her guilt, her weakness. Calista aimed her grapple at the node. Shut it down, and kill him. His mind is in the network. Erase the system, and he's gone. Silas tilted his head. But you're practical, aren't you? You'll choose survival. You always do. She hesitated. Cyrus met her gaze, his eyes raw. Do it. The node hummed, a crescendo of light. She fired. The grapple's claw pierced the core. Electricity arced, clones spasming in their vats. Cyrus collapsed, blood trickling from his nose. No. She caught him, dragging him back as the vault shuddered. Screens exploded, wires whipping like snakes. Silas's laughter echoed until the node imploded, sucking the light into a singularity of static. In the rubble, Cyrus's breath was shallow. His skin flickered, pixels dancing at the edges. Stabilize, she ordered, slapping his cheek. Can't. He smiled, blood staining his teeth. Told you, I'm the glitch, she hissed, yanking a regeneration syringe from her belt. You don't die until I say so. The needle plunged into his neck. He arched, choking as the tech fused with his failing code. She held him down, her hand steady, her pulse screaming. When his breathing eased, she slumped. His fingers brushed hers. Why? He rasped. The word hung between them, fragile as the clones in their vats. She stood, hauling him up. Because I need you to hate me later. The escape was a blur of smoke and sirens. They surfaced in a parking garage, the river seeping through cracks in the concrete. Cyrus leaned on her, his weight both alien and familiar. At the exit he stopped. The chip. You kept it. She nodded. What's on it? Names. Buyers. enough to burn Eidolon to ash. He studied her. And she looked away. Buried in the files she'd found something else, a neural map labeled IX0. A clone older than Cyrus, older than her. But that was a problem for tomorrow. Dawn bled through the city's smog as they vanished into the streets, two ghosts clinging to the same shadow. Chapter 3. The tower's glass facade rose like a shard of frozen lightning, its surface warping the city's neon into liquid streaks of cyan and poison green. Calista stood at the edge of the rooftop, the wind clawing at her coat. Somewhere in that labyrinth of reflections, Silas Marr waited, a spider at the heart of his web. Cyrus knelt beside her, reloading his pistol with hands that betrayed no tremor. She envied that steadiness. Her own thoughts were a storm, each gust howling with the voices of clones she'd buried, allies she'd burned, lives she'd rerouted into dead ends. You're just another copy who doesn't know she's obsolete. His words lingered, a thorn in her psyche. She glanced at him. His profile was a knife edge against the skyline, the scar on his brow catching the light like a crack in porcelain. A perfect copy, a flawed one, hers. The central node is on the 90th floor, he said, voice frayed from the regeneration serum. It had left his skin mottled, translucent in patches where the clone tissue refused to fully bond. Silas will have every mirror armed. She adjusted her grapple, the mechanism purring like a living thing. Then we break them all. They ascended through the tower's skeletal innards, past elevator shafts choked with cables and air ducts, exhaling stale, metallic breath. The higher they climbed, the thicker the silence grew, until even their footsteps dissolved into the hum of distant machinery. Calista counted the floors in her head, a habit carved from 1,000 missions. 65, 66, 67, each number a step closer to the end of the map. At the 80th floor, the glass began to bleed. Thick viscous droplets seeped from the seams between panels, pooling on the walkways. Cyrus crouched, dipping a finger into the sludge. It clung to his glove, iridescent and alive. Neural gel, they're priming the network. She pressed on. The gel thickened, coating the walls in a membrane that pulsed faintly, like a throat swallowing. Her boots stuck to the floor, each step a wet gasp. By the 85th floor, the substance had birthed shapes, humanoid figures suspended in the gel, their features blurred as if viewed through frosted glass. Echoes of clones, echoes of her. One stirred as they passed, a hand pressed against the membrane, fingers splayed in silent supplication. Don't look. She looked. The clone's face sharpened into focus, her face, but younger, softer, untouched by scars. Its mouth moved, soundless. Why? Cyrus pulled her forward. They're not real, aren't they? The gel trembled, more hands rising like drowned souls. He didn't answer. The 90th floor was a cathedral of mirrors, endless panes angled into a kaleidoscope, fracturing Callista's reflection into 1,000 shards. Somewhere in the maze, water dripped, each drop a detonation in the silence. Cyrus shifted closer, his shoulder brushing hers. A static charge passed between them, the kind that precedes a storm. Stay clear of the glass, he muttered. Too late. The mirrors rippled, and the clones emerged. IX5 came first, a razor-cut silhouette in a tailored suit, her hair a platinum blade. Ambition made flesh. Her smile was a scalpel. You could have ruled Calista. Instead you'll die a thug. IX9 followed, a specter in tattered combat gear, her skin etched with runic scars. Nihilism with hollow eyes that mirrored the void. Why fight? We're all just meat and code. Calista raised her blade. You're not me. We're what you buried. IX5 hissed. The fight was a delirium of shattering glass. IX5 moved like a corporate strut through a boardroom, calculated, vicious, exploiting every hesitation. IX9 was chaos, her strikes wild and suicidal, laughing as monofilament threads sliced her arms to ribbons. Calista fought between them, her mind splintering. You drowned her in Jakarta. You enjoyed it. A mirror exploded. Cyrus grappled IX9, pinning her as her body dissolved into a swarm of silver mites. They burrowed into his arm, corroding the flesh. He didn't scream. Focus, he barked. Calista lunged at IX5, their blades crossing in a shower of sparks. The clone's breath smelled of mint and blood. Silas promised me your throne. All I had to do was want it. Wanting isn't enough, Calista snarled, driving her knee into the clone's ribs. No, but hunger is. IX-5 melted into the mirrors, reappearing behind her. The blade pierced Callista's side. Pain was an old friend. She leaned into it, twisting to slam IX-5's face into a pane. The glass shrieked, etching fractal wounds into the clone's skin. IX-5 staggered, her perfection crumbling. You're right, Calista said, yanking the blade free. I did enjoy it. She severed IX-5's head. The mirrors wept blood. Nacillus Mara awaited them in the core. The chamber was a womb of bioluminescent steel, its walls ribbed with pulsating cables. At its center stood the node, a grotesque spire of fused clone parts, their limbs twitching in unison. Silas's face flickered across 100 screens, his grin a scythe. Calista, you've outdone yourself. His voice oozed through the vents, synthetic honey. But let's not pretend this is altruism. You're here to survive, to win. Cyrus aimed at the screens. We're here to erase you. We? Silas chuckled. The glitch and the ghost. How poetic. Tell me, Calista, does it hurt? Knowing he's the best part of you. She stepped toward the node. He's not part of me. Liar. A screen zoomed on Cyrus's face, his features deconstructing into code. His loyalty, his guilt. Your fingerprints are all over him. You built your own leash. Cyrus fired. The screen shattered. Don't listen. He's in the system. He'll get inside your head. Too late. Silas's hologram materialized, crisp and corporeal. He gestured to the node. Destroy it and you kill him. Spare it and Eidolon owns you forever. Your choice, Calista. Survival or sentiment. She stared at the node. Wires slithered from its base, plugged into clones with her face, their eyes vacant, mouths parted in silent screams. Tools, she'd called them. But tools don't weep. Cyrus pressed a detonator into her hand. Do it. Her thumb hovered over the trigger. One click and the tower would burn. One click and he'd be gone. You owe me a new body, Vorne. She threw the detonator aside. No more deals. Her neural link jacked into the node, tendrils of code slithering into her mind. The system was alive, a cancer of data and memory. She let it in, let it hurt. Silas roared. Clones convulsed. The node's flesh peeled back, revealing a pulsing core. Calista tore into it, her consciousness fractalizing. Jakarta, Lynn's last breath, the first clone she'd terminated. A boy with her eyes. Cyrus bleeding out in the arcade. IX-12 dissolving. The virus unfolded, a flower of light and noise. The tower groaned. Glass rained as the node imploded, swallowing Silas's screams. Cyrus tackled Calista behind a pillar, his body shielding hers from the blast. Shrapnel shredded his coat, his skin, but his arms held firm. When the dust settled, the clones were still. Calista crawled free. Cyrus lay on his back, his chest a mosaic of blood and exposed wiring. His green eyes dimmed, but his voice was clear. You rewrote the code. She cradled his head, gave them a choice, like you wanted. He smiled. Sentiment, survival. Her throat tightened. I can't do this alone. You've never been alone. His hand found hers, the gesture clumsy human. See you. In the static, his body glitched, pixels scattering like ash. Then he was gone. The city burned beneath her. Calista stood on the tower's ruins, watching Eidolon's glass empire fracture. Below, clones wandered the streets, free, lost, alive. Some looked up, their faces alight with something she couldn't name. A comms device crackled in her pocket. She almost ignored it. You owe me a new body, Vorne. The voice was a ghost in the wires, frayed but familiar. She smiled, cold and bright and something like hope. Keep waiting, glitch. Rain fell, washing the blood from the glass. Somewhere a new map began.